Welcome to latest News Blaster, where tonight the stage lights have dimmed, the amplifiers are silent, and the rock world mourns the loss of a legend whose guitar once screamed louder than thunder itself. Ace Frehley, the original Spaceman of Kiss, has taken his final bow, leaving behind a universe of memories, melodies, and millions of broken hearts. The night before his death, Ace recorded a short voice note from his home studio, whispering words that would soon echo across the world. "Tell my fans I love them. I always played for them." Those few words, spoken softly by the man whose riffs once shook stadiums, now live in the hearts of generations who grew up believing rock was immortal. The music community woke up to an unbearable truth, that even legends must one day unplug their guitars and step into silence. Friends close to Ace say he spent his last evening quietly in the same room where he wrote some of his greatest songs. The guitars hung like trophies, the walls were filled with memories of roaring crowds, and his silver boots stood by the door, untouched, as if waiting for one more encore. A close friend recalled he looked peaceful, like he knew it was time. He said, "I hope the fans know I meant every note." For someone whose life was chaos, noise, and spotlight, that calm acceptance felt almost divine. The next morning, when the news broke that Ace Frehley had passed away at 74 after a fall at his home, social media turned into a river of tears. Hashtags like #GoodbyeSpaceman and #AceForever began trending within minutes. Fans posted concert clips, old interviews, and hand-drawn portraits of the man who made them believe that rock was a galaxy big enough for all dreamers. In Los Angeles, crowds gathered outside the iconic Whiskey A Go-Go, lighting candles and playing New York Groove on repeat. People sang through their tears, turning Sunset Boulevard into a midnight vigil that felt both sacred and rebellious. Exactly how Ace would have wanted it. Across the world, radio stations stopped their regular programming to play his solos, those same electrifying sounds that once made millions believe in freedom. Journalists who covered him for decades described him as the most unpredictable genius in rock. His former Kiss bandmates released a short statement, "We lost our brother, our spaceman. There will never be another Ace." Even Gene Simmons, known for his tough exterior, was seen wiping tears during a live interview, saying, "He was chaos, but he was magic." Ace's story was never ordinary. Born in the Bronx as Paul Daniel Frehley, he found solace in guitars when the world around him was too noisy to listen. From painting stars on his face to launching into space-themed solos, he became the heart of Kiss's wildest imagination. But behind the fame was a man who struggled with loneliness, addiction, and the search for meaning. In recent years, he often told interviewers that he had found peace through music, saying, "When I play, the noise in my head finally makes sense." Those who saw his final concert in Chicago recall how he paused mid-song, looked at the crowd, and said, "If this is the last one, make it count." Nobody thought he meant it literally, but now, replaying that moment feels prophetic, a farewell disguised as a performance. Hollywood insiders reveal that Ace had been working on an autobiography titled The Man Who Fell from the Stars, which he finished just weeks before his passing. The book reportedly contains a final chapter addressed to his fans, where he writes, "I came from the Bronx, I played with fire, I made mistakes, but I always told the truth through my guitar." Those words now read like a goodbye letter, a confession from a man who gave everything to music and expected nothing in return. Music producers who worked with him in the early 2000s say Ace had planned to return to the stage next spring for what he called the Last Orbit Tour. Tickets were never announced. Fate had already written a different ending. When the funeral was held, thousands of fans stood outside the small New York chapel, holding guitars in the air like torches. A group of young musicians played Shock Me on acoustic guitars, while an old man whispered, "He was the reason I picked up a guitar." Inside, family and close friends kept things simple. A single silver star was placed on his coffin, surrounded by the words he once wrote in his diary, "Stars don't die, they just fade until we join them." Reporters said that Samir Simmons, one of his longtime friends, placed a plectrum in his hand before the coffin was closed, whispering, "Play one more for the stars, brother." When the doors shut, a silence fell over the crowd so deep it felt like the earth itself was holding its breath. In the following days, celebrities, fellow musicians, and even politicians shared tributes. Ozzy Osbourne tweeted, "We lost a true original. There was only one Spaceman." Paul Stanley called him a genius wrapped in chaos. Younger rock artists said they wouldn't exist without his influence, but what truly broke fans was the final recording that Ace's daughter shared online, a 20-second clip from his last night. In it, Ace, his voice raspy but tender, says, "If you're hearing this, I'm somewhere peaceful. Don't cry for me. Just play it loud." That line went viral instantly, replayed millions of times, becoming his digital epitaph. Memes, tributes, murals, all echoed those 4 words, "Just play it loud." The impact of his passing isn't just emotional, it's cultural. Record stores reported a sudden surge in Kiss and Ace Frehley album sales. Vintage guitars modeled after his Les Paul lightning bolt design sold out overnight. Streaming platforms saw millions revisiting his classics. One journalist wrote, "It feels like the world turned the volume down after he left. Universities that teach music history began planning memorial lectures titled The Spaceman Effect, exploring how his style reshaped the sound of modern rock." Fans across generations, from old metalheads to young TikTok musicians, found themselves united by grief and nostalgia. In New York City, the Empire State Building glowed silver and blue, Ace's signature colors, for one night. Crowds gathered beneath it, some singing, some crying, all whispering the same thing: "Thank you, Ace." A fan named Melissa Carter told a reporter, "He taught me that being weird was okay. He made space for misfits. That's what made Ace different. He wasn't just a rock star, he was a symbol for everyone who ever felt like they didn't belong. His riffs were rebellion, his silence now a prayer." Meanwhile, producers confirmed that Ace's unreleased tracks, a secret album titled Starfire Echoes, will be posthumously released. His manager revealed that Ace had already recorded the outro for the album, a haunting instrumental piece that fades into a whisper of his laughter. The track list ends with a message written by him: "If you can hear this, you're part of my band forever." The world waits for that album, the way the night waits for dawn, knowing that, when the first note plays, Ace will live again through every vibration. 3 days after his passing, a massive tribute concert was held in Los Angeles. Legendary artists took the stage, performing under a banner that read, "Fly High, Spaceman." Metallica, Foo Fighters, Pearl Jam, and even Billie Eilish came together to honor him. Dave Grohl said on stage, "Without Ace, half of us wouldn't be here. He built the road we're standing on." The concert ended exactly at midnight, with the lights dimming as thousands of fans pointed their phone flashlights to the sky. The screen behind them showed Ace smiling, raising his guitar to the heavens. Then his voice echoed through the speakers one last time, "Thank you for believing in me." The crowd fell silent, then erupted in applause that seemed to reach the stars. In the weeks that followed, people began calling it the Frehley phenomenon. Psychologists wrote about how a single artist could connect millions emotionally across cultures and ages. His story became a symbol of authenticity in a world full of pretenders. A reporter from Rolling Stone summed it up best: "Ace never pretended to be perfect. That's why he was loved perfectly." As time passes, fans know the pain will fade, but the sound won't. His solos, his laughter, his space-themed chaos will continue to orbit through every generation that plugs in a guitar and dares to be different. Somewhere out there, the Spaceman is still playing, still laughing, still free. And every time a kid strums their first chord, a star somewhere flickers, as if Ace himself just winked. So tonight, as the moon glows faintly silver and the echo of his riffs drifts through the wind, one truth remains. Legends don't die, they simply change frequencies. From Earth to eternity, from noise to silence, Ace Frehley's music remains the bridge between the two. His final words, "Tell my fans I love them," weren't just a goodbye, they were a promise that every tear shed in his name would one day turn into a song. But even after the lights went out, the sound of Ace's soul refused to fade. Across cities and continents, people found strange little ways to say goodbye. A boy in Tokyo painted his guitar silver and wrote "Spaceman lives" across the fretboard. a group of bikers in Brazil drove all night blasting Shock Me through the desert. In London, an entire street turned off its lights for exactly 74 seconds, one for every year Ace lived. It felt as if the whole planet had suddenly remembered what it meant to feel something real, something loud, raw, and beautifully. News outlets replayed old interviews where Ace would laugh between drags of a cigarette, shrugging off fame like it was nothing. "I'm just a guy who got lucky with a guitar," he'd say. But the truth is, luck had nothing to do with it. It was fire, it was pain, it was love turned into sound. That's why, decades later, even people who never met him cry when they hear his solos. His music didn't just fill arenas, it filled emptiness inside people who thought no one could understand them. 2 weeks after his funeral, NASA made an unexpected announcement. A newly discovered star would officially be registered as Frehley 74 in his honor. Fans across social media wrote, "Now the Spaceman finally has a home among the stars." His daughter shared a heartfelt message on Instagram. "Dad used to say we all come from stardust. Now he's just gone home." Those words melted every heart that read them. Meanwhile, the documentary Ace, the man behind the makeup, began trending worldwide. It showed unseen clips of him laughing backstage, writing riffs in his pajamas, and joking that one day he'd retire to Mars. The final scene of the film played his last concert footage, the crowd screaming his name as he whispered, "Remember me by the noise." There wasn't a dry eye left in the theater. Everywhere you look, you can still feel him. Street artists paint murals of his lightning bolt guitar, candlelight vigils glow beneath concert posters from the 70s. Even new rock bands mention him in their lyrics, like a secret code passed between generations. He's no longer just Ace Frehley of Kiss, he's the pulse that still keeps rock alive. And so the story goes on. The legend who called himself Spaceman never really left. He just drifted into the galaxy he always sang about. Somewhere up there, a silver-haired guitarist is smiling down, tuning his strings among the stars, whispering softly to the earth below. "Hibrahi, don't stop the music. Play it loud for me."